I'm Freddie Wilcox, and today we're going to be talking about how to take an inexpensive DIY guitar kit that you can find on Amazon or via many retailers online, turn it into a really beautiful custom guitar that you will love. The one that I'm working with here is from the Fretwire.com. They're actually made in China, but they're made with materials that I think are of a lot higher quality than a lot of the kits that you're going to find on the internet. This is a Les Paul, Spalted maple top. So you can see the grain is very beautiful. There's a little heart at the bottom there, which is a really cute detail. And it's got a mahogany back, a mahogany neck, with a spalted maple headstock as well to match, and then you've got a rosewood fingerboard with inlays. Now, I'm going to be replacing a lot of the parts that came with this guitar, because obviously when you're paying around $150 for a guitar kit, you're going to find that a lot of the components are quite low quality. One thing that I would warn against looking at these parts, you can see this potentiometer right here is actually a short shaft mini part. Now, as with a lot of the other parts that came with this guitar, the components are not necessarily the same as a Gibson USA part. So I had gone and bought some CTS long shaft pots, which would normally go into a Les Paul, and they're going to go back to the shop. So just get the guitar first, have a look at all of the components and all of the cavities, and make sure that you've got the right parts down, because they will be slightly different. Now, in terms of the quality of this guitar, the only real concerns that I've had are there are a few glue marks, which you may or may not be able to see, and the neck doesn't exactly fit into the cavity. So what I've gone ahead and done, which you may also not be able to see, is I've glued some wood veneer into that side of the guitar so that the neck will be a tighter fit. Now, the neck is now a very, very tight fit. I've chiseled away the veneer to make sure that it sits flush, and you should find that if you have a neck that isn't really fitting in the pocket, you're going to have compromised sustain, and it also might move around while you're playing a little bit. So even though we're going to be gluing this neck, I wanted to fill that pocket and make sure that we've got good wood-on-wood contact. It's going to be really firm. The other thing about components here is that I've bought this Tune-O-Matic bridge that's actually in a gold finish, not knowing that, once again, the cavities are not really, or the parts really are not drilled properly, so it's going to be a different size. What you may be able to see I've done is I've got two little pieces of veneer that I've put into the stops tail pockets, and that's going to be filling out that hole a little so that our bridge end pins or our tail piece end pins aren't going to fall out. So that's almost dry, and then I'm going to chip away at it with a chisel to make it flush, and hopefully those pins will sit in there nice and simple. One thing, if you do need to do this when you're replacing your parts, is you want to not cover the ground hole that's in the tailpiece pin, so be very careful there. All of the parts that it comes with appear to be fairly cheap and probably moderately usable, especially if you wanted to replace the magnets. This is one of the pickups that it came with. It's a standard humbucker. I have no idea about its origin at all, but what I'm going to be doing is taking these P90s that are in a humbucker casing, or a humbucker size casing rather, that I bought off eBay from a guy named Guitar Madness, or the brand is rather called Guitar Madness, and he actually makes these in New York, I believe. You can hit him up and ask him questions about his pickups. He's very, very honest online and in forums about the quality of his pickups and the shortcomings that you're going to have using a humbucker that's actually in a P90 casing. A P90 casing is thinner and longer, so there are some drawbacks to using the humbucker casing. But aside from that, I'm going to make a series of videos here where next we look at leveling the frets and recrowning them. I can't eyeball any unlevel frets, but you know, there's bound to be some. It's probably every other fret will be a little different due to the made in China situation. There are some of the inlays that are not necessarily cut to fit, which is another drawback, but it's not really going to be a big deal. I may just want to sand the fretboard a little with some very fine sandpaper to make sure that it all sits flush. So we're going to be leveling and recrowning the frets, and then I'm going to be doing a red and black burst finish on this body. So I'm going to be showing you how to do a finish using leather dye and true oil, which is actually used on gun stocks. So that's all for now. Stick around, and the next video we'll be doing the contour on the back of the guitar.